Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. On this episode, we're back on the 944. We're going to go ahead and keep working away at it. For those of you that aren't aware, new to the channel or otherwise, this is my 1986 Porsche 944 with a Toyota 1JZ GTE R154 transmission and the Supra differential. Where we left off last, we widened the rear end. Now we're working on the front end, so we got the quarter panels on off here, and next we're going to remove the rest of the plumbing up front, radiator, intercooler, everything else, and we're going to try to get around to also pulling the subframe and suspension. Stay tuned. When you take an intercooler off, it's a good idea to protect the facings. So you take a piece of cardboard, tape it over the front and back. I'm not keeping this one. We're going to go to a bigger intercooler, but if I'm going to sell it, I might as well protect it. Last thing we're going to tackle before we call it a day is I want to drain the coolant. So we're going to go ahead, have this drain plug right here at the bottom, go ahead and drain it out. And coolant is toxic to animals. Drain it into a separate container and dispose of it properly.
The next step.
We're going to take and start removing the strut towers right here. Just 4 13mm bolts. Just take those off, and the entire thing's going to sit down, and then we'll get it zip tied up. Then we'll disconnect the brake line, do the same thing on the other side, and then after that we'll go ahead and disconnect the steering shaft, and we should be able to just drop it all out. So for the steering shaft, got one bolt right there. So it's a bolt in the nut, so we're gonna loosen it up, hammer it out, and then that should just pop off. We might have to pry it a little bit, or we'll just drop it and it'll pop off on its own. And then afterwards, we have mounting bolts right there. There's 2 on either side. And then towards the back, there's 2 more on the back of the A-arm. And same thing on that side. Back ones, they are 17s. Just gonna break them loose. These forward ones up here, they are 19s. Same thing, we're just gonna break them loose. Last thing we have is the motor mounts. So for those, we have 2 bolts on the top right there. And the same thing on this side. Hopefully you guys can see that. There's 2 bolts right there as well. Alright, so we got everything freed up. I don't see anything else holding it in place right now. So, with that being said, I think we're ready to drop the subframe. And if something goes wrong, well, it's all on film. So, let's do it. Here's what we're gonna do real quick. We're gonna take and put this on the dollies, get it out of here, bring the Ford subframe, the Crown Victoria subframe in, and put it up in place just to see how it looks. Alright guys, so that looks good for the most part. I got all the clearances I need to have. There's a couple little items that I need to address, but main thing is I need to take off the old motor mounts, see where everything falls out, and then throw some new ones. Everything else looks pretty good so far. We'll have to make a new steering knuckle from that, so no big deal from that. Looking good. What we might do is just leave that down there and then chop it on the next episode. See you next time. And thanks for watching.